Hey everybody, it's Chad from Colorado Giants. Today is April the 18th. We're doing some stuff with the pumpkin plants I figured you want to see, so stay tuned. Okay, so it's been 6 days since we started our seeds, and all of them but one are up. One was a dud. One of the 1676 news was a dud. That's why you start extra. But everything else is up and looking really good. So I'm going to explain to you the process from taking them from your seed starting cups, and we're going to pot them up. Doing something a little different this year. Typically, if you watch years past, I usually use a grow bag, just a plastic bag to, put them in where they'll stay from 2 to 4 weeks. That allows them to grow. You don't want your seedling to stay in here for too long, because this one was the first one. It's been up for probably 3 days, and I bet you when we take this out, I'll show you, it will already be full of roots. You don't want it to bind up. This 1 gallon pot should work very well for the 2 weeks that it'll be in here, because then I want to get it into the greenhouse and out of my garage, really. Things to take note of. When possible, put your plants outside in the natural sun. That is always best. You know, I have a T5 light. I have 8 bulb T5 light that is in my little grow tent here that I'll show you. You saw it on the last video. But the sunlight always wins. So the more sunlight you can give them, the better. These are still baby plants, so don't leave them out in the sun. Don't roll them out at noon and roll them in at 4 o'clock, because you might cook them. That would be bad. Don't do that. Same as if you were to have a small baby, treat these plants as small babies. Don't let them put them out in the sun without some sunscreen or some shade or some protection, or monitor it, bring them in and out. But even indirect sunlight is better than a light bulb. So this is the size pot we are going to use from what they are in now, and the why we want to pot them out of this and into this. If you're going to have them in here for a month, again, my goal is only 2 weeks in here, and at the end of the 2 weeks, these will be very full of roots. But anything longer than that, you probably want to upgrade your pot to maybe a 2 gallon size pot. The reason that I've switched from the bags this year is because sometimes the bags are a little bit flimsy. Not even sometimes, they are. They're just flimsy, which is not necessarily that bad of a thing, but this year I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I've done this. I did this probably 3 or 4 years ago. I got some bigger pots and I cut them into like 5 or 6 different pieces. It was a real pain in the buns. So this year what I did was I split this pot in half and I cut out the bottom and I taped it with some Gorilla Tape. I have no more fingerprints because of the Gorilla Tape. That's some good stuff, but it's not going to come off. So when it's time to plant this plant, what I'll do is I will cut the bottom off, and this whole bottom section will come off, and then I'll slit these. I'll probably hold it, put it in, and then I'll just take it off, or I'll backfill some dirt into the hole, take it off, because you want to avoid your root ball from just totally crumbling. That's it. So let me show you how to pot up your baby giant pumpkin plants. Before we jump into that, let me show you the seeds that Max and I started. Here's the first one that I potted up, the 1676 new. It's the one. It's getting real leggy. So what you want to do is you don't want your pumpkin plant to get that big. I mean, that's probably, I don't know, 2 inches in length. But if you look at the other ones, they're nice and compact. I think this one was under the temperature, the control unit, so it got shaded. So the plants will stretch up. You don't want that. Some people say you do want that. I don't think you do. I would rather have a nice, small, compact plant. So you can see everybody is poking up, except this one. This one was the dud. And I just squeezed it. It's popping. So there's probably something in there, but just nobody's home. I moistened these a little bit so that the root ball will stay intact, because this one I forgot. Well, I didn't forget, I just didn't do it, and it kind of got a little crumbly. So that's why I started with the least genetically powerful seed. But even then, this is still a really good seed. So we're gonna do this to the rest of them. Let me show you what I did. So let me tell you about the soil that I'm using to pot these up. I went out to the greenhouse and I just took a handful, not a handful, several shovelfuls. I put it in my tote here. The seed starting soil that we used last week, whatever was left over was in here. And I put about a half a bag, maybe 10 pounds or so of worm castings. So we're using soil from the pumpkin patch, some worm castings, and a little bit of that seed starting mix. I haven't added any fertilizer, nothing else, that's just in my soil as it is. So we got my soil, we got our cut up pot. You need to make sure you keep track of your seed. So this is the 2365 Wolf, started on April 12th. And then past that, we're going to use two things. The Wallace Premium Mycorrhiza and some Azos. That's probably my favorite product. As you can tell, I tend to use a lot of it during the course of the year. And this is just really simple. All you gotta do is put some dirt in the pot. I know we're getting highly complex and technical here. I moisten the soil a little bit so that I don't have to add a ton of water right off the get-go. Fill up your pot, taking out any like sticks, random stuff that's in the pumpkin patch. And then what we do is, I don't like the texture of this. It's really fine. It feels like chalk on my fingers and I just don't like it. I'm pushing the soil down. This, in my opinion, doesn't need to be super loose. So I try to tap this down pretty good, because when we go to repot these plants, we don't want the root ball just to disintegrate. So I tend to pack this a little bit tighter. So hopefully we'll be able to see the roots in here. And hopefully it holds together. So there you go. You can see the roots. So this probably popped up 2 or 3 days ago, and there's already tons of roots. So again, it's time to put it into its big boy pot, and there it'll stay until it goes to the pumpkin patch. What this is Azobacter. It's a nitrogen fixing bacteria. It helps the roots suck up all the good stuff. That's the long and short of it. And basically the same with the mycorrhiza. This is the beneficial bacteria version of it. I'm sure there's a lot more complex ways to describe that, but that's my layman's version. So we're trying to keep that root ball intact as possible. Put it in and backfill. Both of those products that I just added need like direct root contact for them to be most effective. Eventually the roots will seek out that stuff as they just grow. They will come in contact with it no matter where it is in your soil. So that's why just adding it a little bit of everywhere is a good idea, but putting it in direct contact gets the process started. So then I just take everything, I push it down. Like I'm not really packing it down. I'm just, giving it some good pressure. Going around the sides. A little harder where the roots are not. Put in a smidgen more soil. Add in your tag. That's it. So now this will be pretty happy in here for another 2 weeks. I'm gonna get it as close to the light as possible so it doesn't get leggy. We want it to be nice and compact. And let's cut to when they're all done. So everything is potted up now and in the little grow tent to show you. So there's everything potted up. I started 2 more 1676 news just for backups, because you never know what's gonna happen. So it's better to have some backups, and I'll probably even start a few more in another week or so, just to try and cover my bases in case anything happens with these guys. Real quick while I'm thinking about it, Max really enjoyed his movie last week, so I'd like to try and include him in more. Post some questions below for Max. Remember to keep them like 3-year-old relevant. What's your favorite color? You know, things like that. Max would be really good at answering. Maybe some beginner pumpkin questions. And in the next video, I'll have Max answer some questions and try and have some fun with it. There's one other thing I want to show you guys that is brand spanking new for this year. And if you see this little guy right here, oop, it just kicked on and it scared me. So that is connected to this, and this is a CO2 control system. It's set to 1500 ppm. I'm not super savvy on that. That's basically what the guy at the grocery store recommended for me, so I figure he's probably good at growing what he grows, so it's good enough for me. What this does is this connects to my CO2 tank, which I have some of these from robot stuff. So the valve is connected here, then it's connected to the solenoid is connected to that controller. So, and then the sensor is in there measuring the atmospheric ppms. So like right now it just kicked it on and it gave it a good oomph of CO2 in there, and now it's at 2950 ppm, and I'm sure that will 37, holy moly, so we're going up. But I bet you if I open this up and I kind of vent some of it out, it'll probably go down, and we're kind of just playing with it now. You and me and everybody seeing what it does. Yep, and it's going back down now. So that's pretty cool. That will keep it steady. Why inject CO2? Because CO2 is oxygen for plants. Plants, in case you don't know, that's how the world works. Plants breathe in CO2 and exhale oxygen. So we're trying to give them more breath, more air for the plants. Other than that, all you need to know at this point is I do about 17 hours of day light. So these lights will be on for about 17 hours. Keep the soil moist, not wet. Don't fertilize it. And as soon as you can get it into your pumpkin patch, the better. So over the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna put mini greenhouses in the greenhouse. And yeah, as soon as that's done, then these will go in there and we'll be ready to rock and roll. So that's it. Questions, comments, queries, concerns, post them below. Post your questions for Max below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and hopefully your pumpkin season is off to a good start. Oop, CO2 just kicked on again. That's what that little clicking noise was. I need to get like a different bar to mount it so it kind of goes down. Right now it's just this little teeny tube right here that's putting CO2 into the tent. That's it. Bye.